some breaking news coming in from Brussels, from the European Commission. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is due to make a statement on Brexit starting at any moment. We're seeing now live pictures from Brussels at the podium where she's expected to begin her statement in just a moment from now. According to Irish national broadcaster RTE, she's set to announce that the EU will begin legal action against the UK government of Prime Minister Boris Johnson for violations of the Brexit Withdrawal Agreement. For more now, we go live to our correspondent in Brussels, Barbara Vazel. Barbara, what can we expect from this statement?
A deadline ran out last night because the European Union had said to Boris Johnson, OK, listen, you need to take back this internal market bill, as it is called in Britain, because it is violating the withdrawal agreement. The point there is that it would sort of take back and annihilate some of these special clauses that have been made for continuing trade in Northern Ireland. And Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, now wants to step back on that and sort of shape this agreement that is a case of international law, shape this agreement according to his own tastes. And that is a no-go, says the European Union. Now, they've been mulling over what to do in this case for quite a while, and it seems now that they are going the legal route. They seem to be prepared to take the United Kingdom to the European Court of Justice and sue them there and say, you are sort of going against the withdrawal agreement. There is a clause in there that says both sides have to act in goodwill. And that is a breach. This particular bill that just passed the Parliament in London, this particular bill is a breach of that clause. So they are really trying to play hardball with Boris Johnson. And the interesting thing is here, beside all this, the Brexit negotiations are going on in Brussels. I mean, negotiators are sitting in the very same building that you see behind me, and they're still trying to bridge the gaps between the expectations and wishes of the two sides. So this is what all this is about, and it seems that, as you say, the plot is thickening here in Brussels.
Indeed, the plot is thickening, Barbara. As you say, there are negotiations going on still between the EU and the UK. The UK officially having left the European Union at the beginning of this year, at the end of January, but negotiating the future trading relationship is something that is still to be worked out. What would this step that we believe von der Leyen is going to take the Commission? She's about to begin. Let's listen in.
Remove the problematic parts of their draft internal market bill by the end of September. This draft bill is, by its very nature, a breach of the obligation of good faith laid down in the withdrawal agreement. Moreover, if adopted as is, it will be in full contradiction to the Protocol of Ireland, Northern Ireland. The deadline lapsed yesterday. The problematic provisions have not been removed. Therefore, this morning, the Commission has decided to send a letter of formal notice to the UK government. This is the first step in an infringement procedure. The letter invites the UK government to send its observations within a month. And besides this, the Commission will continue to work hard towards a full and timely implementation of the withdrawal agreement. We stand by our commitments. Thank you.
And that was the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen stating that the European Union is now about to begin legal proceedings against the United Kingdom for a breach of articles of good faith in the withdrawal agreement. Our correspondent, Barbara Vazel, is standing by for us in Brussels. A brief statement there from Ursula von der Leyen. Barbara, what can we read into it?
It's a warning shot towards London because clearly the EU says, basically, if this bill comes into legal force, and it still has some hurdles, particularly in the House of Lords, to overcome, which was supposed to happen later this year, but if this bill really legally comes into force, we cannot possibly bring a trade agreement into legal action because the two contradict each other. Also, how much faith can we have in the United Kingdom, in the sort of the goodwill of the United Kingdom that they will act according to international treaties that they are making with us, the EU, if they act like this? So this was a breach of international law that the British government had announced in Parliament. A minister stood up in Parliament and said, yes, this bill, the so-called internal market bill, will breach international law. And there was a certain amount of uproar, but in the end the bill passed without a hitch. That means that, of course, all international partners now, particularly the European Union, say, how can we trust a country like that? It is a very serious breach, and it absolutely throws a very dark light over the ongoing trade talks. And it somehow means that if Britain doesn't step back from the brink in that case, in the end, a trade agreement cannot really come into force at the beginning of next year. So ominous, all this, very ominous.
Ursula von der Leyen said that this was the first step, Barbara, in an infringement procedure. Has she left some wiggle room there for the UK to still get out of this, this internal market bill, to maybe not adopt that and to walk this back and not breach international law?
Yes, they could, of course. I mean, there is, with the European Union, always wiggle room in cases like this. So now the clock starts ticking. They will get a letter. They have the chance to write a letter back and say, oh, we're sorry, we didn't mean this like that. Could we somehow agree that it never happened? Whatever face-saving sort of formula they could find possibly to walk this back. Yes, it is doable that they will have to walk it back, because this is not unimportant. This is just not a legal detail. This is about the future of trade in Ireland, and this is about keeping borders in Ireland open and keeping Northern Ireland tied to the internal market of the European Union, because that's what the two parties, the UK and the EU, agreed to last year when the Withdrawal Agreement was signed. So this has to be kept. And of course, the European Union is standing by Ireland, where in Dublin the government is, of course, very nervous watching all these shenanigans coming from London. So it is sort of coming to the point where the two sides will really have to decide, particularly London will have to decide, what do we want? Do we want to leave Europe with a big crash and bang at the end of the year, have no trade agreement, or are we willing to compromise and walk this back?
Barbara, thank you very much. That was DW's Brussels correspondent, Barbara Basel.